Hello there, welcome back to the booth here at GP Portland. So we are fully down the stretch. We've got one time-shifted match to bring you here from the Swiss portion of round 15. After that, we're cutting to top 8, and we're working our way right into the quarterfinals and giving away a trophy, $10,000 and all that. But first, let's watch this last time-shifted match. And welcome back to coverage here at GP Portland. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Paul Rietzel. And we've got Brandon Go. He's playing against Baxter Laufer. Teamer Energy versus, I'm up red. Seen this one before.
Yeah, the rarely seen Ether Hub Go on turn 1 for Baxter.
Yes, that is rare, signifying perhaps mana issues. And Brandon's going to pounce on that. He's going to use Shock to take down that Servant of the Conduit. By the way, these players both at 12 and 2, they are playing for top 8 here, so the stakes about as high as they get here at the GP level. Making into that top 8, such a huge jump for these players. Securing that Pro Tour seat. You almost see the players get super intense about getting into the top 8, and then the quarters, it kind of flattens out a little bit, and
right.
then it ramps back up again as we make our way to the semis and the finals.
Right, you got the proverbial blue envelope in your back pocket, right? You've got the Pro Tour qualification. You've got what anyone would call a successful tournament, and you do see a little bit less of a stressful environment.
Mm-hmm. But then by the time the semis start rolling around, that money gets on the table.
Well, then $10,000.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden you're thinking about it all again. All right, well, Harness Lightning is going to take care of the only attacker right now, an Earthshaker Kenra, and keep Baxter at a pretty healthy 18 life, although the follow-up plays quite nice here for Brandon. He's got Rampaging Ferocidon.
Yeah, Brandon's draw couldn't be better, but Baxter really importantly must have drawn that Botanical Sanctum. Otherwise, he would have played it on one of the first 2 turns with the Servant of the Conduit, so his mana developing nicely as well.
Yeah, he's getting lucky is what's happening because he used that Ether Hub to cast the Servant of the Conduit. Mm-hmm. Wow, this is a good turn here for Baxter. Also, he gets to cast a Braid, take down the Rampaging Ferocidon, and even has a follow-up play with the Cub.
And he had an interesting decision point that turn as well. His last card in hand is Chandra Torture Defiance, so there was a possibility of just playing Chandra and minusing it on the Rampaging Ferocidon. Of course, that runs into all sorts of ways that it could die, to haste creatures or a Sun-Scorched Desert, so hard to fault this play. Another option would have been to play the Chandra plus it and a Braid.
Look at this. Brandon picking a fight. He says, Lightning Strike your Cub, even though you've got 4 energy up. And Baxter's not going to fall for it. He just says, okay. That said, he sinks the energy, and it's going to take another card to get that Cub off the board.
Yeah, I think the reason why he does that is because of that Chandra Torture Defiance. He needs the energy to make the second red mana.
You're right. Awkward.
Now, what do you do with it is the real question. I've been thinking about that for a full turn sequence, and I'm still not sure if I like minusing it to kill the Soulscar Mage or plussing it to potentially get it out of range of, say, a non-crop crasher or some sort of haste creature.
Yeah, kind of interesting line that Baxter had available to him last turn as well was to just play the Chandra plus it for the mana in Cassia Braid.
Yes.
But he decided not to do that. So now he's in a rather precarious spot. We know that this red deck has numerous ways to get rid of a Chandra, and the telegraphed one is what Brandon had. From that sequence last turn, it seemed obvious that Brandon had a Shock in hand. So Baxter's going to take his 2-for-1 a little bit of a different way, killing a Soulscar Mage and a Shock in exchange for Chandra. I think that still favors Brandon. I mean, the 2-for-1 part doesn't, but those are 2 of his more low-impact cards, and he'll probably be happy to have a Chandra off the board for that cost.
Yeah, these are the kind of games that Ramunap Red likes to get into. The opponent is very resource light. You have some sort of creature pressuring. You're a little bit land light, but when you do find those 4th and 5th lands, it's turning on the extremely powerful mythic rares that you put into your deck.
Yeah, also as the game goes further, we see Ramunap Ruins on the battlefield for Brandon. Those cards start to get more and more relevant, where Baxter's additional lands from here don't really look particularly good. Baxter says, all right, I've had enough getting punched around here, so I'm going to go ahead and activate this after blocking Ragavan. That does not work out well for him either. And What a cool spot for Brandon, right? It's not like he's had to take any risk for that bluff. Just gets to run Ragavan right in there. Oh, here's another Chandra off the top, though. And once again, Brandon's going to have to find a way to get rid of Chandra. Doesn't have enough mana for Ramanop Ruins, and Ferocidon does not do it. Well, these are some big draw steps here for Baxter. Did he even look at it? You're allowed to look at it. Maybe he's just that fast.
I think he was curious whether or not rampaging Ferocidon damage could kill his Chandra here.
Oh.
I don't know how.
The answer is no.
It's loss of life, right? Or is it damage?
No, I think it is damage. I don't think that Brandon can redirect. Am I wrong about that?
I think that he can. I actually do not know the way the interaction works.
That's interesting. I'm waiting for chat to tell us. They always have our back, Paul.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you learn about being in the booth. Chat has your back. The answer is absolutely yes has been called.
Okay, that's what I... That was my instinct.
The same person also said, I'm absolutely wrong about that. So like I said, chat has my back. So,
wow.
Yeah. going both directions here. Wow, another absolutely in the chat, this time all caps. Okay. So, yeah, I think I might have been wrong about that one.
What do you think about the mixture of Arena, Mirage, and Beta lands? If I'm reading that correctly, I think it's
tentatively supporting this, actually.
It could be 2 Mirage and a Beta.
Like, I don't mind it if they're all old and you just happen to find your favorite artwork. I would have just preferred all Beta, if I'm honest with you. But I mean, not that I'm taking advice from you. White border land guy over here? What the?
Revised. Yeah.
Jeez.
Pure.
Not enough ink. All right, so we do see, by the way, that Ferocidon ping hits Chandra. Down to 1, and there's a braid. And, well, either way you slice it here, Chandra is gone.
Yeah, and I think Baxter just putting it in the graveyard, a smart move. Glorybringer, one of his best draws here, and if he were to use those 3 energy on making a Thopter, he wouldn't be able to make a second red mana for Glorybringer, so I think smart to just let the Whirler die. Yeah,
that Thopter not doing much anyway. Can't block the Ferocidon. It would have just killed Chandra and resulted in Baxter taking 3 damage. How about a Glorybringer? How did you do that, Paul?
I tell you, maybe I should have played in this tournament if I knew what was going to happen.
Holy smokes.
That's the way to do it.
That's how you do it.
You know, that's...
He knew what he needed, and he peeled it. Brandon plays really fast, by the way. I love it.
Yep.
He's going to go Soulscar Mage, Earthshaker Kenra, upstairs. Wow. Now what's Baxter going to draw? Nothing. He's going to pass turn back.
And you mentioned before, I mean, every land that he draws here that's not a Shelter Thicket is a functional brick. I mean, it's really bad at this point. So Brandon will be hoping there are many, many lands in Baxter's future.
In the meantime, Brandon still stuck on 3 lands. His deck can operate off of 3 lands pretty well. And Baxter's probably just going to keep tearing up his board with this Glorybringer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and with only 3 lands, he doesn't have to worry about the Kenra coming back for a long time. Ooh, hello. Land number 4 has arrived, and that leaves Brandon with just 1 card in hand. So this Hazoret the Fervent is going to hit for the full amount. Down to 7 for you, Baxter? Oh, yeah. Wow, Haymaker's coming in fast and furious here.
Yep. And Baxter with only 1 copy of Confiscation Coup in his main deck.
Ooh,
so
he is ill-equipped for this Hazoret.
He's going to really want to find that.
Baxter's thinking about firing off this Harness Lightning on the Soulscar Mage. I think he's just trying to figure out, does it matter? I mean, you look at the board right now, and if Baxter doesn't have any blockers, it could definitely matter. Any prowess trigger there would be lethal. So the question is, well, what else could he draw where he couldn't cast the Harness Lightning as well?
Well, the Harness Lightning would make sense in the context of maybe drawing Whirler Virtuoso. You cast Harness Lightning, you go up to 3 energy, and then you don't have to use the Ether Hub for red on your turn. Then Whirler Virtuoso goes to 6 energy. That's 2 chump blockers for Hazoret. Now, if you were to play the Whirler Virtuoso, you go up to 5 energy and still have to leave the opponent with Soulscar Mage. So that's the card I think he was thinking about potentially drawing.
Let's see what he found.
Looks like some sort of a discrepancy here. So.
Yeah, you can see the action has come to a bit of a pause.
That card face down would be Baxter's draw step for the turn. So.
Perhaps life totals? Yeah, it does. It looks like Baxter had himself at 7.
Okay, but he was hit from
6
from 12. Yeah. Whirler Virtuoso, Confiscation Coup. Those are the cards that Baxter was thinking about drawing there.
Okay, well, he thought about it, but it didn't happen, and that means that Brandon Go is going to be up a game here, and one step away from that top 8 finish that all the players that showed up for this tournament had in mind. Soulscar Mage on turn 1, tap land for Baxter on his turn 1, but let's see what he's got for the second turn of the game.
In the Ramunap red deck, extremely powerful. Not that much went right for Brandon in the early turns of that game. We saw Baxter draw the perfect Glorybringer at the right moment, but Brandon, the power of Hazoret, and Baxter's deck being kind of uniquely poorly set up to deal with main deck Hazoret, allowed Brandon to deal the final damage.
All right, well, this is the Attune with Ether here. Now he's got an island off of that. And that means he's not doing much this turn, doesn't it? This is a little bit slow of a start out of the gates here for Baxter.
Very slow, yep.
Yeah, not what you want to see against this red deck. It could spell doom for him. Well, I spoke a little soon. He did play a mountain this turn. Maybe a Magma Spray?
It's 1 Magma Spray and 2 Chandra's defeats.
Okay. All right, let's take a look and see if he has an answer for it, because, well, if he does want to kill the Soulscar Mage, now's the time. Land, you take 1, you go to 19. And so here we go. This is, can you turn this down? You can't turn this down? Okay. Well, if you don't want to know about top 8, just mute your mute it a little bit here.
Top 8 players, please report to the feature match area.
Well, there was one more spot, so that's why I was asking. Anyway, we are watching time-shifted Magic here, so sometimes they'll announce as we go. I do apologize for anybody who got a little spoiler alert that perhaps they didn't want. In the meantime, Baxter Laufer and Brandon Go are still going at it here. A slow start from Baxter, but he does have one of these really powerful cards against this deck. He's got the Whirler Virtuoso. It tends to line up pretty well against threats from the opponent.
Yeah, he's got things set up pretty well. I mean, he was able to slow the initial assault from Brandon. He plays the Whirler Virtuoso and makes another blocker, and he's gummed the board up pretty effectively. Rampaging Ferocidon, though, is going to continue to chip away for damage, and as we know, Teamer does not gain life well, so he's not going to be able to get the life back that he loses to the Ferocidon, and Brandon will move into that phase of the game where he's trying to chip away for damage and then finish him off with burn spells and/or Hazoret and/or Ramunap Ruins. Brandon moves so fast he almost broke the stream right there.
The cameras don't have enough frame rate to see his movements, but there's another Rampaging Ferocidon for Brandon. And this one's really starting to shape up into a battle. Oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, 2 Ferocidons are tough. That's a really difficult situation. Baxter needs to get those off the board. He can't just keep playing creatures and getting shocked every time a creature comes into the battlefield. It's also going to significantly reduce the impact of that Whirler Virtuoso. We saw that Baxter has made a Thopter in response to both Ferocidons entering the battlefield, but future Thopters are going to be almost more pain than they're worth at this point. So, Brandon's has done exactly what he wants to be doing so far.
I'd also like to congratulate our Grand Prix Portland 2017 Play It Forward winner, Sophia CO. Sophia, please come on up here to the main event stage to collect your playmat. Congratulations, Sophia.
Looks like Brandon was maybe considering an attack right there. I didn't see anything that would be a profitable attack, so I think good restraint.
Yeah, possibly just going through the options to make sure that there wasn't something he was overlooking.
And Baxter's hand has all of the wrong cards right now. What you want are red cards, and he's got the blue and the green cards, and the blue and the green cards are all shock him.
Is that a foil Thopter token?
It's beautiful.
Dude, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Your buddy Dave Williams, we don't need to tell him about those.
Oh, my gosh.
He loves a foil token.
He'd be bankrupt. He would spend his net worth on foil tokens.
He's already got half of it sunk into foil zombie tokens.
That's right. Dave's not a man you're going to find with mismatched basics.
No, of course not. He's not a heathen.
He's on a full art kick, I think, right now.
I see. I've been on beta for a while. Hard to move off, you know.
You and Eric Froelich.
Start at the top. They are number 1 on the basic land power rankings, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, those of us who aren't podcast moguls have to settle for revised, though. So.
Oh, man. Brandon just attacked with the Earthshaker Kenra, seemingly just to get it into the graveyard. And Baxter obliged.
Although Earthshaker Kenra, of the 3 creatures, not the one he would have selected to go to the graveyard, but beggars can't be choosers here. And honestly, Baxter's board is pretty well set up to be blocking a 4/4 haste when Brandon's tapped out. So
yeah,
not a catastrophe here.
Where does this game go from here, though? The two rampaging Ferocidons kind of discouraging attacks but not able to block themselves, and also restricting Baxter as far as making Thopters, even casting creatures to a point.
Yeah, Baxter's option number 1, his top choice would be to remove one of the Ferocidons from the board. If he could do that, then he could start to commit more resources to the board without fear of getting pinged too hard. Option number 2, which I think he's going for, is you need to start making the symmetrical effect of the rampaging Ferocidon affect your opponent as much as it's affecting you. So that means judiciously attacking. We see he pings in there with the Rogue Refiner. You might see that other Rogue Refiner and potentially some number of Thopters join it in future turns, so that Brandon has to fear the rampaging Ferocidon trigger as much as Baxter does.
A little bit awkward here. Baxter just cast a Rogue Refiner, though. Not seeing any green mana tap there. Did I miss something?
Yeah. Looks like a...
Well, perhaps an oversight from him there?
An oversight, but certainly not something that's impactful or going to give him any unnecessary advantage, as he would have had a Spire Bluff Canal untapped instead of the Forest, and nothing he can do with 2 green mana.
Of course, Chad is screaming for a judge, but we'd need a time-traveling judge to make that work.
Harsh Mentor. Well, Brandon really has these Whirler Virtuosos under control. That's for sure.
He does have those on lockdown.
Make a token, take 4. Okay? Yeah.
How do you like that? But it is interesting that he's also not able to attack himself.
Yeah.
I wonder what breaks this open for him.
I think that we see Baxter with a Confiscation Coup in his hand. It wouldn't shock me to see him fire that off now. I think if Brandon had access to Hazoret the Fervent, we would have seen it enter the battlefield by now. This might be a good time to take one of those Ferocidons and swing in with everything but the Whirler Virtuosos. I honestly don't know what could go wrong with that play.
Right, yeah.
It sounds pretty.
Nothing.
Now that I'm saying it, it sounds so good.
No risk. Okay, well, we saw Baxter attack with the Rogue Refiner last turn, so not surprised to see him send in these ones as well. These are all trades I think he'd be quite happy to make, and it does represent a big hit. That's 6 damage, so it's nice having expendable creatures.
Yeah, conservative route. The reason why I don't like that particular play is that the options outside of Confiscation Coup involve him just committing more creatures to the board, which is just going to result in him being more vulnerable to direct damage from Brandon. But in either way, Baxter's in pretty good shape here.
Also, Brandon took it. He's down to 7 now. Well, now he's going to go for the coup.
Okay. Hedged. It's a hedge.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Only 1 card left for Brandon, though. Perhaps conservative.
Very conservative, leaving these Thopters at home. But
Yeah.
but he may think I've got Brandon dead next turn anyway. Looks like it's fairly close to being lethal anyway, so he may think that.
I like how Baxter's maneuvered. You know, I think we can make a good case for attacking with the Thopters, but I mean, he has faced double Rampaging Ferocity plus now a Harsh Mentor, and has got himself in a good position to win this game.
Yeah, and it really goes down to what we've been talking about, over the last 2 days. Board presence in this matchup is so important.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Ferocidon and the Harsh Mentor, they really shine when you have the advantageous board presence. Baxter got the board presence first and really, negated the impact of those cards.
Yeah, they just sat there, and, they did prevent Baxter from doing everything he wanted, but he was just able to build up the board. And that means that we're going to get a game 3 here. Baxter Laufer versus Brandon Go. Let's head to that right now. And we're not only in game 3, but we're even a little ahead in game 3 here. But this is the first relevant action. It looks like slow starts for both players. First play of the game for Brandon is a Rampaging Ferocidon somehow. Baxter snaps it off with an Abrade. Huh. Now what? Just play a Whirler Virtuoso? Wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, that's always good against a tapped-out Ramming Out Red player.
Ooh. Good spot here for Baxter. How is he at 20 right now? Yeah. Maybe Brandon's gone for that bigger sideboard plan where they play, more Chandras and Glorybringers and stuff like that. Well, he's going to play 4 mana worth of creatures or spells here. That's a Harsh Mentor plus a Lightning Strike.
It looks like Baxter may have mulliganed this game as well.
Oh, okay.
So I'm counting 10 total cards here on his 4th turn.
Harsh Mentor doing its thing. But once again, Whirler Virtuoso still looks good even in the face of a Harsh Mentor.
There's some people that really love the Harsh Mentor and some that really hate it. I think it was Martin Juice that said, "Do not put this card in your deck."
Wow.
It just doesn't. The size of the creature just doesn't match up well against Temur Energy's creature sizes. Other people, I think Eric Froelich has mentioned how good that card was for him at the World Championships against things like Whirler Virtuoso and Walking Ballista. So that's a card that it's been out for a while, but people still haven't agreed if that's exactly the right approach.
Interesting play here from Baxter. He cast a Servant. He's left his Thopter home? A Braid, and oh boy, a big swing here for Brandon. Now you can see why Baxter left it back. He's going to soak up 5 damage there, but it looks like this lack of cards and a pretty good curve out, all told here from Brandon, are going to put Baxter in a terrible position.
Yeah, really has to have a land this turn and a land the next turn with a Confiscation Coup, and almost any other, sequence beyond that is going to result in this Hazoret taking Brandon to the top 8. Okay, so a Deathgorge Scavenger is going to give Baxter a little bit of life, but that's that's putting a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound right now. The Hazoret is just going to brutalize him here. Hazard coming in. Death Gorge Scavenger does not combat well with 5-4 indestructible.
Please take your seats.
Baxter just does not have the tools to deal with this Hazard at the Fervent.
It's just too much.
It's too much.
He's at 3 mana here.
He draws the Forest for a Bristling Hydra, but that's going to put him up to 8 energy, and of course you need 9 energy to get to the 6 toughness to be able to trade off. So
we've seen this a lot. Hazard the Fervent discarding another one. He's also going to get rid of graveyards here. Is that what I just saw?
I think Baxter may have declared combat, and Brandon's going to get rid of the graveyard so the Death Gorge Scavenger can't gain Baxter 2 life.
Brandon really getting aggressive and trying to shut the door on this game and put himself into the top 8 here in Portland. There's a Bristling Hydra now from Baxter. How big can he make that?
Yeah, right now he can make it 5 toughness, but again, that Harsh Mentor that we talked about earlier, the controversial Harsh Mentor, would deal 4 damage just if he made it a 5 toughness creature.
And once again, there's a nice removal spell off the top for Brandon. It's going to kill the Death Gorge Scavenger and force the issue here as Hazaret has attacked every turn since she arrived.
This next turn for Baxter really ought to be a 5-mana blue sorcery for him to have any chance of making the top 8.
Baxter's kind of running the numbers, but it's not coming out.
You don't want to jump with a Bristling Hydra. That's never a great feeling.
No, that's...
But here he decides he just can't take the 5 damage. Does he have the confiscation coup? Not a good start.
Take that, Harsh Mentor. And a chump blocker. Or is it not? He had 8. Huh. That's big enough.
Yeah, it's something.
And he draws another removal spell. Man, Brandon Go has no chill. He just keeps slamming, and there's another Chump Hydra. I guess he could take 1 hit here. Oh, how about a Glory Bringer off the top of the library for Brandon? Somehow it looks like we've sped up Brandon, but Baxter's playing at normal speed, and they're actually both just at regular speed.
It's refreshing, isn't it? So many times we see players in these high-tension matches that slow it down to a crawl. Brandon turns it up to 11. He's ready to go.
He does.
He must have a flight tonight.
Yeah. All right, well, maybe one more draw step here for Baxter. He's under immense pressure at this point. And this Teamer deck is just not built to come back from this, and that's going to do it. Brandon Go wins the match and puts himself into the top 8 here in Portland. I've got the announcement. I know we heard a little bit over to the air. Apologies for that, but I do have it here for anybody that wanted to know the full list. First place, Christopher Larson from Denmark. He just ran the tables today.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's going to be our number 1 seed coming in. Number 2, Shahar Shenhar.
Wow, he's on a heater himself.
Oh, yeah, he's running it up. He's got that fire again, and we're going to see him in the top 8 as well. Number 3 is James Stevenson. He was playing, I think, maybe a Pummeler deck. Is that right? The red-green one? Anyway, we'll take a look at that. He's from Canada. Number 4, Alex Wilson. Saw him a little bit earlier today.
Win is winning in, yep.
Number 5 is Brandon Go. We just watched that one there. Number 6, Derek Candelario. So he's in. Number 7, Stephen Barnett, and that leaves 1 spot, which was Michael Bernard. So that's our top 8. I've got the bracket sitting here in front of me. The players are going to be getting ready for that shortly, and once they're ready, well, we're going to bring you live coverage here of the top 8 from Portland. For now, though, a short break. Don't go anywhere.